So back in early 2026, a crisis kicked off in Iran that didn't just feel like another regional conflict. No, this felt different. It felt like we were watching a prototype for a whole new kind of 21st century war. So what does that even look like? Let's get into it.
To really get what happened in Iran, you kind of have to toss out your old ideas about what warfare is. So let's just ask the big question right up front. What does a 21st century war actually look like? Well, this crisis gives us a startlingly clear and pretty unnerving answer.
Yeah, if your brain immediately goes to tanks, trenches, and troops, that's the old playbook. The battlefield has completely changed. Today, it's fought with autonomous drones, it's fought with data as the ammunition, and it's fought by literally plunging an entire country into a digital blackout. And it's that last one, the digital blackout, that's really where this whole story begins.
You see, the first shot fired in this conflict wasn't a bullet. It was the flip of a switch. It all started with silence, a deliberate government-made silence, designed to control what people could see and to hide what was really happening on the ground.
And you can just watch how they slowly turn the screws here. It started small in late 2025, just disrupting the internet in areas with protesters. But by January, things were heating up, so they pulled the nationwide kill switch. Then, after military strikes hit the country, connectivity dropped to a shocking 4%, and then finally, down to just 1%. Just try to imagine that. A whole nation of 88 million people almost totally disconnected from the rest of the world.
So why do it? What was the point? Well, human rights organizations were pretty blunt about it. This wasn't just about shutting up protesters. This was a digital curtain they were pulling across the country for one reason: to hide massacres and massive human rights abuses from everyone else. And the price of that control was just staggering. The Iranian government was willing to light more than $35 million of its own economy on fire every single day just to keep this information blockade up. This wasn't an accident. It was a strategic choice, and they were willing to pay any price.
And all of this seems to lead to this really chilling, long-term plan that was reportedly in the works, something called the Barracks Internet. The idea is basically to permanently disconnect Iran from the global internet and create their own state-controlled version. Only a handful of pre-approved, security-cleared people would ever get access to the outside world. It's absolute digital isolation forever.
So here's the most important thing to get. The digital silence, that wasn't the war itself. It was the cover. It was a vacuum of information they created specifically to hide the kinetic violence, the bombs and the attacks that were happening at that exact same time.
So, what was going on in that void? While Iran was digitally invisible, a swift and totally devastating military campaign was launched inside its borders, happening almost completely out of sight from the rest of the world.
Under the cover of this blackout, incredibly precise strikes hit the very heart of Iran's military. They targeted weapons factories, airports, missile sites. But look, this was also a decapitation campaign. They were taking out the leadership. Top commanders were eliminated, including the head of the IRGC Navy, that's the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, along with his intelligence chief and a key fleet commander. And the scale of this damage was just immense. According to U.S. Central Command, more than 2/3 of Iran's ability to produce ballistic missiles and drones was just gone, destroyed. It was a crippling blow to their ability to attack, and it was delivered in the dark.
But here's the thing about our world, right? A conflict like this is never really contained. The violence inside Iran immediately sent these massive shockwaves across the entire Middle East, and it threw life into chaos for millions.
Just look at the immediate impact on travel. It was pure chaos. You're talking about some of the world's busiest airports, places like Dubai and Doha, being severely disrupted. Major airports in Kuwait, Iran, and Iraq shut down completely. This wasn't just a military problem anymore. This was global business and travel grinding to a screeching halt. And as the region's skies were closing, the attacks were spreading out. Iran and its proxies just unleashed chaos. Hundreds of missile waves were fired at Israel. Civilians were killed by shrapnel in the UAE. Drones hit fuel tanks at Kuwait's airport, and Hezbollah launched over 100 attacks in a single day. The conflict was just exploding in real time.
So the takeaway was pretty clear. The fight had spilled way outside of Iran's borders. It was in the skies, it was at civilian airports, and it was spreading across the whole region. But believe it or not, its reach didn't even stop there.
And this, to me, is maybe the most surprising part of this new kind of war. How its echoes are felt thousands of miles away, in places and in ways you would just never expect.
That echo travels through the most modern battlefield of all, the global information space. This is where facts become weapons, and the conflict morphs into rumors and disinformation, creating real-world panic for people thousands of miles away from the actual fight.
I mean, check out this perfect example from India. After their prime minister gave a speech and mentioned the global crisis, he was talking about the war in Iran. Social media just blew up with rumors that a new national COVID-style lockdown was coming. Fact-checkers had to rush to debunk it, but it just shows you how a regional war can spark panic in a totally different country halfway across the world.
And these global echoes were everywhere. In the UK, this whole network of fake pro-Scottish independence accounts on X, which were secretly run from Iran, all just suddenly went silent. Oops! The blackout exposed the whole operation. At the same time, businesses everywhere were being warned to stop all travel to the Middle East. And in a direct counterattack, people started smuggling thousands of Starlink internet terminals into Iran to fight back against the censorship.
And all of this brings us right back to that first question. The 2026 Iran crisis really feels like a blueprint, doesn't it? It shows us that modern war is fought with digital blackouts just as much as it is with missiles, and that its shockwaves, both the real ones and the ones made of disinformation, they travel at the speed of light. Which really leaves us with one last big question to think about. In a world this connected, is any conflict ever really, truly local anymore?
For sharp analysis without the noise, subscribe.